Hey guys, Dr. TomahawkCole here with LighthawkFPS, and this week I'm going to be answering a question from the Discord. It's actually someone who goes by the username INSINS, and he's actually a really good player already. He's got some really high scores on a whole bunch of stuff. He's got that robust neural network working to move his right hand, and his question came to me in the form of, what's wrong with my left hand? Why doesn't it work as well as my right hand? Let's go to the question.
Here's what I mean by weird looking fingers. You can see that in a neutral position. My left hand looks a bit distorted compared to my right.
Okay, so he says he has weird looking fingers. They don't really look that weird. To him, they're weird because his left is different than his right. If you look at my hands in kind of just neutral position, they look pretty similar. If anything, though, my right index finger is like 5 degrees more bent than my left when I'm not putting any pressure on them. That's going to be normal. Person to person, it's going to be different.
It's the most noticeable if you compare my ring fingers. You can clearly see that there's something wrong here. The middle finger, you can also see it, but not as much. Another thing is whenever I straighten my fingers out, you see that instead of being straight like this, the fingertips point up.
So fingertips pointing up is normal for some people. You can see mine all point up more. Not anything to worry about. There is something going on with the left hand that makes it have a different neutral position.
And whenever I try to curl them from this straightened out position, instead of just being able to do so, there's some kind of resistance here, some kind of tension, and there's how it looks like when I try to do it.
So that is weird. It kind of looks like the inverse of a trigger finger, which is when your finger gets stuck down. Usually it only happens in older people. And then you go, tink, and it tinks out. It could just be the tendons are gliding in their sheaths very well, and we'll go over an exercise for gliding our tendons. So right there at the end, you see him go up, up, up. So that's good. That means that it's not something that's like a trigger finger where it gets stuck and it really bothers you and it really hurts. And he doesn't have to make it do that. It's just like, okay, I can get it into this position, and I do this. So here's doing a clicks per second test, seeing how fast he can click with his right hand. But here's left. And you can already see, if you're looking at the clicks per second, it's slower. He had like 7 and now it's 5.4. So it's like a 1.6. It's not greater than 20% or something. That's interesting. Let's look at the next part.
Keep in mind that my right hand is new to this, and my left hand has like 3 years of experience doing something similar in a game called Osu, where you just have to like tap to the beat.
So that's important to remember. He's doing he's alternating finger taps, which is similar to the first one, but getting more information. He's doing it with both sides. If you're watching the video and you try that right now, you'll notice that your left hand will be worse if you're right hand dominant. You can see him click, 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 click. He goes. He's averaging about, with his right hand, it was 182. Watch his wrist as he's going. So he drops 20, so less than 10%. But you can see he's doing a lot more arm movement. He's doing more arm movement because when you try to do this, if you try to do it, I have my results. I can put them up now. But when you have this arm movement, it's because you're noticing that your fingers can't keep up. So what's the easiest way to go faster? It's to move your wrist. Your brain is really, really good at being efficient. So you can add a little bit of extra movement there a little bit more easily by using your wrist and your forearm. So that's all that is. It's a compensation because the fingers are slow. The fingers are slow because it's your left hand and your fingers start off slow. You can definitely train them faster. There's also more tightness in his left hand in his finger flexors and his finger extensors. So he shows his hands being held in a different position at rest, and they're clearly bent a little bit more on the left side compared to the right. And what this is your finger flexors. So your finger flexors are they start down here and they come all the way up to the tips of your fingers. And actually there's more than one thing going on. Some connect to your wrist. They're not your finger flexors, they're your wrist flexors. But some connect to the middle. They're your flexor brevis, and some connect to the tips of your fingers. And that's your flexor longus, digitorum. These muscles can get tight, and the long ones get tighter a lot more easily than the short ones, because when you rest your hand like this whole tendon and muscle is shortened. So there's an easy solution for tight fingers, and that is put your hand straight out in front of you, grab your fingers, keeping them straight, pull them back. So when I do this, and when you do this, if you have tight finger flexors, you'll notice your middle joint wants to bend backwards toward you. You have to leverage that out so you can stretch all of your flexor muscles. So to stretch your entire finger, you need to keep your fingers straight, elbow straight, and stretch it hard. Ugh. And I do 30 as hard as I could, as long as you're not hurting yourself. 30 of those, both sides, why not? At least once a day. Another finger muscle stretch is the extensor side. So to stretch your extensors, what you want to do is make a fist, and you could just like grab it all the way, and then you want to straighten your elbow out again, grab it, pull it down for flexibility. 30 times, as hard as you can stand, at least once a day. So a lot of studies show that stretching is most effective when you do it to a very high intensity. You don't need to do it a ton. 30 times is enough, but to a high intensity is what you're shooting for. If you have tight fingers where they look like they're bent at rest, it's probably time to do some finger flexion stretches. I have a little bit of tightness in my finger flexors, but I don't worry about it because it doesn't affect anything I do. Having a little bit of tightness there, it's no big deal. If it starts causing problems, he said when he straightens it out, that could be a problem. So that could be something you want to address. The next thing is he could have some tendon problems where your tendons slide through sheaths under your skin, and they're supposed to glide really smoothly. And something like trigger finger, it gets stuck because it's not gliding. And there's some tendon stretches we can do. So there are a lot of variations of these tendon glide exercises, but I just picked one that looks good. And basically what you're doing is you're going through range of motion with these tendons. Here's how you do it. We've got this picture up, but we've also got, I'll do it right here. Take it straight and you bend it down. So you're trying to bend at these middle knuckles, and you're trying to curl your fingertips. Boop. Now the next one, you go straight again, or you just go straight down. Now my fingertips are curled, and now my knuckles are curled. The next one, you come all the way down, your tips are now straight. So you're making like a weird fist. And the next one, platform position. All the other joints are straight. Doesn't really matter what you do with your thumb here. You can do that if you want. Your joints are straight. The picture I put up had the instructions of hold for 3 seconds, repeat 10 times, do 3 sessions per day. I say do this 30 times all the way through. I'd probably just do it this way. So what we're doing is gliding the tendons through their full range of motion, which is what our body is built to do. We're built to move through our full range of motion. All parts of our body are, like, all day long. Not sit and do a little click, 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 and have a left hand that does almost nothing. Then you will run into these problems, because our bodies, if they don't use something, they're really quick to discard it. So that's why people get weak and get atrophy from bed rest very, very quickly. That's why if you don't use a joint, it gets tighter and tighter. That's why you're sitting all day and you're bending forward because you're sitting all day. Your back gets really tight, and then everybody gets back pain. Another thing I want to mention here is if you compare my right side and my left side, it's almost the same as In's right side to his left side is dominant to his non-dominant side. And that's just because there's a normal dominant versus non-dominant difference in everybody. The average is like a 10% strength decrease, but it can be like a huge strength difference from dominant to non-dominant, like 5 to 30%. So when it comes to more complex activities, that's probably compounded a lot of times because you don't have the neural network set up in your brain to perform the same things on the left side that you have on the right. You feel like you control everything the same, but really, in reality, the musculature on your right side is controlled by your left side brain. You can see like the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and the primary motor cortex and the supplementary motor area and the parietal and all that stuff. It comes over and it crosses to the other side and controls your hand. So if you're really, really good with your right hand and you're not good with your left hand, it's not as simple. It's like, oh, I just gotta figure it out. No, you don't have that mass of neurons that you built by learning. So the hand will feel slower and less useful. Now, if you took your right hand away and you could only use your left and you use it all day, every day, you'd get really good with your left. Ins is normal, except for the weird tendon things. I'd say glide those tendons if you were a patient of mine. Okay, that's it for me. If you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It really helps. I'll be back again soon with another science video. And thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Mini games targets go through a deceleration.
Good response isn't going the exact same for each person. Stop!